Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the Q4 2024 tier list for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the tier list. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at Lemon Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, we're going over my annual tier list. You know, I do it every 3 months or after every balanced data slate. So we've just had a balanced data slate. We're still waiting on the FAQs, but we've also just had Kill Team Salvation release with the new Scout Squad and Blades of Khaine kill teams. So they're going to be included in this, because even though it's quite soon after their release, I've had a few games with them and I have a good head for those kill teams, so they're included. And yeah, it's just a nice inclusion after the latest balanced data slate. We're still waiting on the FAQs. The FAQs could change some minor things, but I think not enough to change the tier list unless the FAQs become a balanced data slate. For the tiers, remember, these are more of a guideline for the general player. Obviously, if you specialize with a particular faction, you're going to do better because you're going to play it more and become more familiar. But this is basically a generalized tier list based on my own readings and kind of with stats and how I expect to perform with the general player base. And as always, remember, S tier is like the best, either on paper because they basically have hardly any bad matchups, or just very dominating and they're very likely to win a tournament with. Then you've got A tier, who are just below S tier, where they're very good, but they have more bad matchups. They're still likely to win an event, but very likely to go 3 wins and 1 loss. Then you've got the B tier, who are, you know, still good, but they have more bad matchups than the A tier. Can go 3-1, but are likely to go 2-2 as well, but more on the 3-1 side. Then you have the C tier, who are kind of like middle of the road factions, you know, very likely to go 2 wins, 2 losses. They can do well, but they have so many bad matchups that it does become quite difficult. Then you've got the D tier, they're just quite bad kill teams, where either they have lots of bad matchups or they just really don't do well into the current meta, and they're more likely to go 1 win and 3 losses, or still can do 2 wins, 2 losses. And then you've got like the E tier, which is just bottom. You're likely to lose all your games or go 1 win. These teams are just bad, right? Lots of bad matchups. But yeah, let's go into it. It will include Season 3. So this is a combined tier list of Season 1, 2, and 3. You know, we're still going to see some Into the Dark. We're going to see more Beta Decima as we go forward. So this is just a single holistic tier list. And I should have an article version of this down in the episode description below. But let's get on with the tier list. So starting off in the E tier, we still have the compendiums. It's Necrons, Tau, and Kroots. They're just bad. They will, like, I'm still going to cover the compendiums. I know a lot of people get upset, but a lot of people still like them, and they're not gone yet. Then we've got the D tier, where you've got Eldar, Orcs, Gene Stealers, Sisters of Battle, Chaos, and then all the Marines just grouped together. Nothing different there, you know, pretty much unchanged. Then we come into the C tier. Probably, I'd like to call the controversial tier, right? This is gonna ruffle a lot of people. So we've got Legionary in C tier. They are still very good. Like, in my opinion, they're just in C tier. And it's mainly because how the meta is, right? The meta is not great for them at the moment. So they've been pushed down. It's not that they need buffs. They just need all their bad matchups to get worse, because the weird thing is all their bad matchups effectively got buffed and are more commonplace. So it's not that Legionary are horrible. It's just the meta around them is. Same applies for Intercession. I think they're still reeling from their second set of nerfs. But it's weird, like, having an intro team, solid C tier, I don't think is too bad. They're still a threatening team because everyone is a minimum of 14 wounds, but they're the same issues as Legionary. Then we've got Warp Coven. They are a lot better than they have been, but they're still quite difficult to use. And when it comes to the, you know, all the bespoke teams, they still struggle. They do prefer that they can go basically 3 to 4 rubrics and then like 4 Zangors, but the Rise of Hordes is still not good because Zangors are only 8 wounds. Maybe if Zangors got buffed to 10 wounds, but then they would be kind of like too good. So it's really weird. As I said, Warp Coven probably need an entire rewrite, which would take another edition, but they're not bad. They're just kind of difficult to play and in a bad meta. Then we've got Forstalker Kinband. As I said, they still live on their trick of like balance the books, implant, and then just recover item. That is their shtick to Mac TAC Ops by Turning Point 2. and then just stall out. The problem is, even though their buff made them more playable on Into the Dark, changing how Call the Kill works, they're still quite bad, right? And the rise of hordes isn't good for them. Like they you know, they'll fight well into Pathfinders, but the issue is they still have to get close to these people, and they have to spend a CP to go to 4 attacks, 3-4. It's just a weird kill team that needs some more work. Then we've got Exaction Squad. They're a lot better, but the thing is the kill team as a whole didn't get buffed. The shields got slightly more usable, and then the leader just got insanely buffed. But the only issue is it's still just the leader doing all the work. So if the leader dies and then your subductors aren't properly supported, your kill team falls apart. The problem is you still have the worst melee in the game at 2-2 on non-shields. And the problem with this kill team, they find it hard to max tac ops, which a lot of events rely upon for rankings. And also they're hard to flex with, because most of their units are either really good or okay in combat and then okay to good in shooting. So the problem is when you need operatives to flex, you don't have anyone who can really flex apart from your castigator. So they're quite an inflexible and brittle team. They're still very good, but very hard to play. Then we've got Strike Force Justian. They are like Intercession. The only weird thing, so the thing, people say like Justian are better than Intercession, but it's only because they have different bad matchups. So like Justian do better at matchups that Intercession struggle with, but then Intercession do well in matchups that Justian struggle with. And it feels quite fair to rank them evenly, like especially as we're still missing official archetypes, which are probably just security and seek and destroy, but they also don't have any faction tac ops, which actually makes it really hard to play them well. So I think C overall is fine. Then we've got Drukhari. They're unchanged. They're a really solid kill team, partly because, you know, you can still take 2 blasters and a blast pistol and a dark lance. They're kind of affected by the roster, but still a solid compendium team. Same goes for Tyranids. You can't really underestimate like 5 to 10 gene stealers as well as warriors. Guardsmen in the compendium, Kazakin, because you either go 10 Kazakin or 5 Kazakin and Servant Guardsmen. Still very good. Then you've got Death Guard, who are just a reliably good compendium team. 12 Wound Marines that are very durable with a 5-up Feel No Pain, DPR. And then you've got Talons of the Emperor, really good compendium team. Once again, a monster on Into the Dark, but fairly okay on open. And then Chaos Demons, who, depending on how you build your roster, can still be quite a threat with 12 demons, right? For the B tier, we have Blooded. Blooded are unchanged in B. They like how the meta has opened up to hordes, but they're just completely balanced in B. Then we have Phobos in B tier, the best elite team in my opinion, mainly because of Vanguard and how they get away with like doing so many mission actions. So they're very efficient, especially into the Dark, and they will like Beta Decima as well, unless like the hazardous area rules gets changed. They still hate the current meta. Like if we were in the last meta, Phobos would probably be in A tier, and then Legionary would be in B or A tier with Intercession in B. But at the moment, Phobos are the most versatile and oddly good elite team just because of how flexible they are, but they still hate this current meta. It's not good for elites. Now we have Wormblade. So Wormblade's buffs, after reading through and talking about them more, it's very good. Once again, instead of just relying on your 2 cult agents, all your cult agents are viable now, and you have 2 heavy gunners that are very mobile and now can shoot on the turn they come in from hiding. So even on some matchups, you can put your 2 heavy gunners into hiding and then they can come down and just blast people who get too close. A very, very threatening team now. They still have they now have the best forward deploy, with the only kill team able to deploy 2 operatives far forward. It's just, they are still quite fragile, and the turn their Alpha Strike fails, they will fall apart, but they are very, very good now. Very, very good. Hyrotech Circle, they remain in B tier. Like, they are just living on the Contemporary Nanomine. I was hoping like the Nanomine would get its range reduced, but then all the Cryptex would get buffed along with reanimation. But at the moment, there's still a solid B tier kill team. They do quite well into elites, and Hordes not so much. It's still okay, but not as bad as you'd think. It's just you will live and die on your Nanomine, so you have to be very good at where you place it. Then we've got Hand of the Archon. While this meta now has more hordes, the hordes that are coming out is not a fan of for Hand of the Archon. There's just a lot of they've remained unchanged, so it's just weird. They are a hard kill team to play, very tempo heavy, momentum based. It's going to be a little bit rougher, but they're still B tier for me. Then we've got Felgor's Ravagers, right? So I think I've left them unchanged because even though they are technically better now, in my opinion, they're still like just in the B tier, maybe just out of A, but for me, they're still in B tier. A very good kill team. 20 operatives, remember, because you have to kill them twice, can be very threatening to play and now have better objective gain. So we're probably going to see more of them, but it depends how they react to the current meta, because they actually didn't mind elites, but hordes become a big problem for them. Then we've got Halfkin Salvager. They're a good kill team, but the weird thing is they actually prefer fighting elites, and the hordes, once again, we're seeing isn't too great for them, because Halfkin actually really struggle at doing 2-for-1 trades. So while they're good at getting 1-for-1 trades, so an operative killing an enemy operative, when they're heavily outnumbered, they will struggle on a numbers basis. So this is not exactly the ideal meta for them. They actually want elites in Descendants, because then you out-activate them and just destroy them. Like, elites are your speciality. Then we have Chaos Cult. So they are down to B tier for me, but just in B tier. Once again, it's like a Felgor Ravager situation. Maybe A tier, because you have to remember they are still 15 bodies with 30 APL. But the wounds and healing change for mutating, as well as devotees having to kill, means they're no longer that brain dead. They're still a threat, but I think in general, you're going to see less of them and they're going to be much harder to play, which is good, right? I wouldn't underestimate them, but they're still a good B tier kill team. Then we've got Scout Squad. Scout Squad are very good in B tier. Like, unfortunately, they've come into the wrong meta. Like, maybe in the previous meta, they may have been A tier, but at the moment, I think solid B. Once again, they're very good at if you can play well turning point 1, but also if you're really good at analyzing the board state and using their scouting options to really punish your opponent's deployment and punish them for the board, depending on what side they pick. They're a very fun kill team, and I think they're going to get better as time goes on. They're very solid, but I think there's just a lot of strength and potential in the scouts. They do really well into a lot of kill teams at the moment. Then we've got Blades of Khaine. I'm not sure they should be in B tier. At first, when I first saw the rules, I was like A tier. Then after, playing them a bit, I was like B tier. After playing them more, I was like, maybe they're C tier, right? Eight operatives with 8 wounds and a 4-up save. Your leader has 9 and a 3-up save is quite bad. Yeah, and the weird thing is with this kill team, they're like a harder to play Harlequins. I still think they are B because their aspect powers are quite strong and their equipments are amazing with some really good strat ploys. But I think they really hate this meta. Whereas scouts can get away with having like 1 or 2 operatives like double shoot. They've got shotguns to flex into. Blades of Khaine have no shooting. Dire Avengers are quite bad. They just literally exist for your attack ops. And then you're relying on combat to kill everything. Once again, Galapox and Chaos Cult are probably like your undefeatable matchups. And then Horde matchups are just horrible because you're relying on your opponent bunching up. And even elites are quite difficult for this kill team. So I still think they have a lot of strength and potential. So I've left them in B for now. But I wouldn't be surprised going forwards if they drop down to C tier, because they are quite unforgiving if you mess up. But they do have a lot of tricks. Then for A tier, we have the Commandos. So Commandos, they're no longer an S tier, but they're still an incredible threat. You have to remember, while they've lost the ability to spam sneak again, now they can't change order, right? And the Bomb Squid can't get any bonus APL, but can still get negatives. They are still 11 activations. They still weird, shush to move up. They still have quite a lot of movement potential and board control. So on open, they're still quite good. Into the dark, they haven't lost anything. They're still incredibly powerful on Into the Dark. They just have to be more careful with how they play the Bomb Squig and the Dynamite, but they have lots of threats, and even operatives locked onto Conceal can still charge or fire if it's the Sniper Boy. So they have a lot of flex. I think the problem is a lot of people have written them off. They no longer just like easily control the board, but they're still great at controlling the board because you have so many 10 win bodies with just a scratch. So if you were thinking they were gone, it's wrong. But they're no longer the dominating threat they were. You'd still have to keep them in mind if you're planning to play competitively. Then we've got Novitiates. They are really, really good. Once again, they dodged any kind of nerf. They have the best dice fixing ability in the game. And on Into the Dark with Defenders of the Faith, they effectively win the game with Defenders of the Faith. They're a very solid kill team with recon and security. They can just eliminate stuff so well with their double flamers. They are very hard to play in my opinion. But when you see good players using this kill team, very tough. So I think definite A tier for now, especially with how the meta's changed. With less elite teams to worry about, they can kind of just murder a lot of stuff because their flamers with Torrent can easily hit 2 or more operatives. So they actually have a lot of way to clear out larger horde teams, but overall a good meta for Novitiates. Then we have Corsairs, like Corsair Void Guard. I think they're just in A tier. I think the buffs they've had, while making them almost unbeatable on Into the Dark, is crazy. They are even more of an Alpha Strike team. They're really, really good, but they are quite fragile. Oddly, even though they were great into elites, they still have enough double tap potential because they have enough operatives that can shoot and do stuff like free APO in a pseudo way because of their dash. So they're very good. Remember, they still have the Rending Shredder, so a very good kill team. Hunterclade, I think, are just a solid A tier kill team for me. They got their accuracy and defensive stuff buffed, and that's all they really needed. Remember, their weaknesses are still they don't have any way to punish indirect or proper like double charges, but a very good kill team. Like, they enjoy the current meta, even though they excel in like dismantling elites. A very, very good kill team. Are just kind of really well balanced at the moment. Then we have Void Dancer Troop. Like, if we move away from Into the Dark and go fully Season 3, they're S tier, right? But at the moment, they actually do like the current meta. Even though they were great at dispatching elites, they can still do quite well into hordes, especially if we see a lot more 10 model teams. But a very good kill team. Once again, a lot of tricks, you know, invons, really good at getting alpha strikes with charges because they can just immediately kill you in a combat without you striking back. Very, very powerful, great at like controlling the board. So never underestimate them. Then we have Breachers. Originally I put them in S tier, but I think they're probably just out. Like, they are barely in A tier, should be in S tier. Like, remember, for some reason they still get the Blitz Alpha Strike where they can get a crit and hit, and then it stacks with Close Assault even though they don't get a reroll. Like, they do have the best Alpha Strike potential in the game. The only problem they have is if their Alpha Strike messes up and you survive it, you can push through and win. But it's such a boring and horrible situation. You have to hope you kind of counter their Alpha Strike, but they can set up 2 Alpha Strikes on each side of the board. But then the issue is if their Alpha Strike fails, you push their face in and win. But if their Alpha Strike wins, they push through and win against you. So it's really rough, but a very good kill team. And now that elites are effectively going away, they will still shred the current meta. So they will not enjoy the cat being less useful. But now their shotguns, especially if they're just shooting into 7 wound, 5 up save operatives, they're more likely to just kill people with a single shotgun. And when you just GA2 shotguns and your whole team has shotguns, it's very useful for them. Then you've got Elucidine and Starstriders. Once again, a very good kill team, but I think very skill-based. Like, you have to be very practiced with them and a good player because they're very positional dependent. While they don't mind elites going away, like they have the tools for elites, they probably love elites going away. And even into the current meta with lots of horde teams, they do all right. They've got enough tricks. They're a very good team to survive and win a shootout just because of their durability with getting carapace armor and having like the best medic in the game. A very tricksy kill team you can't underestimate, but I think is just kept out of S tier because they are very hard to play. And even in the current meta, some like key bad dice rolls or poor positioning and you can just get overwhelmed. So good but hard to play. Galapox, I think I left them in A tier. After seeing how they did at Worlds, I think they're definitely A. They still have a lot of weaknesses in terms of like if you can quickly kill everyone apart from the Hulks, but they are such a powerful kill team. Very tanky, very durable, great at controlling the board. Like, especially as elites are not going to be in ascendance, they are going to love this current meta, and they love the Chaos Cult nerfs. Like, the Chaos Cult nerfs now put in Galapox's favor, where before it was like an even matchup. So Galapox are really, really good at the moment. Then we have Kazakin. I know everyone thought I was going to put Kazakin in S tier, but you were wrong. I tricked you all. I think Kazakin are probably the top of A tier. So Kazakin are incredible at the moment. Like, the main trick before was using their redeploy strategic deploy just to max your attack up. Now you just use it to dance in and out of charge and threat ranges. They effectively destroy any kill team that is 9 or less activations. If they're a 10 activation kill team, they are likely to still beat them as well, although it's not as great. They just got better at destroying everyone they out-activate, which is really weird. Whereas before, elites kind of went like, oh, if Kazakin rolls hot, I can't do much. It's now everyone under 10 activations is just like has their face pushed in by this kill team. The fact they can, like, if they just get one hit, a 94% chance to kill anyone with an AP2 weapon with no invuln if they have 10 wounds or less is just too much. So it's like all the Eldar teams, they effectively destroy. Hierotech Circle, they mess up. I think even Halfkin, because they can just get better trades into Halfkin. It's really annoying that they got this elite point change, because they already now ignore obscuring, and they've got support grips, which makes them even better on Into the Dark, because they can just shut down rooms. So at the moment, they kind of are shaping the meta. Not because they are so powerful against everyone, they just dominate at least half the field. And they're going to be more popular. They were already a popular faction. You're going to see them more. That's the problem elites have. They got better into trading and into elites. So elites are just going to be like, I can't play because Kazakin are going to be everywhere. And then 9 activation or less teams are just going to get blown apart. Like even Felgor have a problem into good Kazakin players. So it's Kazakin on matchup everyone's going to have to play because it's, and practice with, because it's going to be rough. They're going to be everywhere. I think their main weakness are 12 activation or higher teams. But if you aren't, you're just going to have to play hard. Even 11 activation teams, they do quite well into, which is weird. But yeah, Kazakin are great. Then for S tier, we have Veteran Guardsmen. As I said, they are the only kill team, I think, that has had no buffs, no nerfs outside of FAQs and erratas. They are just 14 operatives of craziness. Their demolition is unlimited usage effectively and can blast people through walls, which is crazy. So he can walk up to a wall, drop it at his feet, dash away, and blast everyone behind walls. The spotter flipping anyone from conceal to engage. You know, just having lots of good special weapons with rerolling ones. As I said, the only thing that would keep them out of S tier if they finally changed the spotter so it didn't work if someone was behind heavy, like all conceal flipping abilities, just bizarre. And then, you know, depending on how dominating they would go, you could do stuff like the ancillary troops not being able to give equipment. But at the moment, it's just, because they're 14 reliable bodies, they have a really good faction tack up, and they are just like, with the Kazakin change, they just love this meta because they can mess up Kazakin all day and most of the field, just because Vet Guard's only bad matchups were nerfed. So at the moment, all their matchups are even. They have good matchups, but they don't really have any bad matchups, which is why they're in S tier. Then we have Pathfinders, right? Pathfinders are in S tier. I think even for Into the Dark. I don't think people understand how powerful getting the recon drone for one operative is. It opens so much. I could talk at length for why Pathfinders are so powerful now just via that one change. Drones opening doors and Into the Dark, that was good. That's all this kill team really needed. Now you can take the recon drone for one operative. Crazy. You're allowing Pathfinders to group activate. Like, you've given Pathfinders a 3-4 heavy 6 ceaseless gun. It's crazy. It's a 12 wound operative with a 4-up save. No 4 4-up saves. It's just too good, right? So I expect this kill team to dominate now, especially as elites kind of indirectly got nerfed. So especially with season 3, they're going to dominate on season 3. Into the Dark, they're terrifying to face now, because you can never just have the recon drone. I'm going to Monkar, he's going to dash up, open the door, shoot, or like he's forward deployed, so he's going to switch to engage, open the door, shoot, analyze, and activate someone else to kill someone else. Crazy. Can't believe they buff Pathfinders. I love it, right? But the only thing to keep them out of S tier is just reverse that recon drone change. They don't need it. Seriously. And then we've got Inquisition. Well, Inquisitorial Agents. So they are still S tier. They are the hardest S tier to play, and maybe one of the hardest kill teams to play. But the issue is they lock out so many kill teams from the game. They are 12 activations. They're crazy. And as I said, the main problem they have with Inquisition, because Inquisition can use effectively all the Imperial factions, sans Marines, every time you buff one of those factions, you have buffed Inquisition. Like, Inquisition now have access to Ignore Obscuring via Kazakin. Like, Ignore Obscuring Plasma Cannon. Ridiculous. It's crazy. Like, on other guns as well. They have too many tools, but I think the main thing they need changing is breaches shouldn't be 6 operatives. It should be 5 for the breaches. Like, it shouldn't... They're 4-up save. They should not be the same selection as Vet Guard. And then I still think Absolute Authority, which stops you from doing a ploy, just needs to be once per game. It's too good at being able to use it throughout the game, because it locks out several factions from playing competitively. Because if you run into an Inquisition player, you have to hope they play badly or don't know how to use Absolute Authority. Because it's just really, really imbalanced having a ploy that can stop you doing what you want to do. It's the reason it was removed in Warhammer 40,000. Because after like years of trying it, they just removed it. So it's disappointing it came back into kill team. But as I said, the hardest kill team to play ranging from 12 to 11 activations. But if you know how to play them, especially in this meta, you will lock out several kill teams from the game, especially on like turning point 2 or 3 where they want to do their key aggro plays. You just lock them out. So it's like Halfkin, they mess up when they want to do proximate firepower or when the ancestors are watching. Hand of the Archon for trying to stay turning point 1 and then trying to punish turning point 2. Hierotech Circle, they can still mess up when they try and be aggressive. Can't stop their reanimations, but still other things. Even Kazakin, they can stop their reposition. And it's just, even into Commandos, because Commandos do have more CP to play with, they have more opportunities to block other stratagems they want to use. So kind of rough. But yeah, that is the tier list as a whole, as you can see above. I'll have my article version, which will have that for reference, so you can check it out. But that's the whole tier list. So for the Q4 2024 kill team tier list, it's a weird meta. As I said, if you've watched the balanced Dataslate videos, you will know that we are no longer in an elite friendly meta. Elites they're in a really bad spot because of how Kazakin and other horde teams have been buffed. It's weird, right? I think the only changes we've had apart from the elites going down is just Chaos Cult going down. And I think that's it. Everyone has mostly remained on. Well, Commando's going down a tier as well. We've had some movement, but it's a really weird tier list. As I said, I don't think the meta's horrible. It's only horrible if you're playing elites. And I think we're in a meta now where, because of how Kazakin and other horde teams have been buffed, it really highlights the problem when you have 10 or more activations and you have less. Because if you're a 6 activation team, you're now just getting fully set up and destroyed, which is really rough. I think it's not going to be as bad as where you just had Commandos everywhere, because the good thing about this meta is Kazakin, Pathfinders, Vet Guard, and Inquisition aren't straightforward to play. Like, Vet Guard are probably the most forgiving to play out of all 4, but they are still quite difficult compared to Commandos, who you could just go, I'm going to sneaky get 3 guys into the middle of the board, your turn. Like, that was too much pressure. So the meta is better from that point. Also with Chaos Cult getting nerfed. Chaos Cult is still good, but more manageable. But I think we're going to see how bad when you out-activate someone. Like, I wish we had Overwatch changed to react. So if you are out-activated, you can react instead each time. And when you can react, one of your operatives can either Overwatch, fight, or do a free dash action. So it would give elite teams who are usually outnumbered some way to get more positioning or some crazy point, like area control. Because the biggest problem elites teams have now is like, oh, I can Overwatch. Someone just charges you and you go, well, this guardsman's in my face. I guess I do nothing. When you could go, oh, you're in my face. I'm just going to punch you. So which guard kind of fixed, but that was probably like change for another edition. So we are going to be in a more fun meta, because you're not going to go like, are you playing, because Commandos and Cult were kind of ridiculous. So you're going to have stuff where you're at least killing more, but the problem is if you're an elite player, you're going to find it really rough. So I can see a lot of people just jumping ship to other kill teams. And season 3, like, we're going to get an improved ops update mid-January for crit ops, for PDF, for season 3 beta decima. So we were probably going to actually have a new set of missions, and we're going to fully see how season 3 actually affects the meta. So it's going to be quite crazy. As I said, I think in the future, Void Dancer Troop are going to do very well, especially as if we get more season 3 centric tournaments because of how they abuse would fly. But it's weird. I think competitively we might be in a worse meta, but as long as you're not playing elites, I think you're in a good time. Because even if you run into Kazakin, if you have 10 activations, you have some counterplay. Like, Wormblade are really fun to play now and have a great toolkit. Hunterclade are very strong. Well, they've always been very strong, but they're just solid. You know, you're going to have a lot more ways to play the game. And I think people are going to enjoy it more than they did last meta. I think the only people who are going to think it's the same or worse are competitive, like, regular tournament players who are going to go like, I hope we don't have to wait another 4 months for the next balanced data slate. So, as I said, it would just be some minor tweaks. I think, like, Pathfinder's getting that recon drone is crazy. Like, you just tone down Kazakin. I think we could do some elite buffs, like maybe give them like 40k armor contempt, so they can treat AP as 1 less. So AP1 becomes 0, AP2 becomes 1 in some form. But I think it's just showing the problem we have when someone's out-activated. But I think it's a good meta. I think it's going to be interesting because the scouts are going to be very fun. I think they actually like this meta mostly. And the Blades of Khaine are just going to be interesting to see how quickly people can get the most out of them. And, you know, we're probably having the Night Lord's kill team coming out maybe soon, along with the kill team they might be packaged with. So the meta might change very quickly, very fast. As I said, especially if we get mission updates and mission changes, they start changing TAC ops in general, you know, maybe in another 3 months, but by then we'll have another balanced data slate. But yeah, main take home, if you're playing elites, I'm sorry, you're going to have it rough, but you're going to find ways to adapt. And if you're not playing elites, you should be okay. If you're playing anything with 12 or more activations, you're going to have the most fun you've ever had in a long time. Remember, I'm going to have an article version of this down in the episode description below. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this tier list. For my patrons, I'll also have a bespoke only tier list because I think the tier list is getting a bit packed, guys. And the reason I don't want to show my bespoke only tier list is because it's quite spicy and people will get very angry by seeing what's in the D&E tier for bespoke teams because it's only looking at the bespoke range. But yeah, remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought. I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at Element Games to buy whatever remaining stock you can of Salvation from Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crew, I have Tom, Sam, Nikki Sticks, Nick, Mr. Meatwad, Kenzie, John Thomas, Dad of Goldens, Ben, and for my veterans of the crew, I have Samja. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, this is a video I wanted to get out early. So I still have a lot of content for Beta Decima and Season 3 Salvation to come out. Like I have a battle report that this has taken precedence over and some more videos. I think I'm doing a terrain painting video. We'll see. That might just be an article. But I have lots of Season 3 content coming up. As you can see, I've kind of like jumped back with all my videos. And I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. It's great to see people still like watching me after all this time. And I hope my insights have been helpful. And once again, remember this tier list is for fun. I should have mentioned at the start of the video, nothing is placed in terms of power. It's just in the terms where it was released unless I messed up the order. So where someone's positioned in the tier list doesn't mean like Vetguard are the best kill team in the world. Or like, you know, Blooded are the best of B tier. It's just how I've kind of tried to sort them in terms of releases. But it's just for fun and the guidance. I know people are going to get upset. Please don't. I say it every time and it doesn't work. But it's just be fun. I'll be interested to hear what people think. So until next time, you stay away from tier 15. And remember, as long as you can roll a crit, you still have a chance to win.